Riya, a learner and explorer. I read in class 12th at Nanakmata Public School. I love writing and reading, and education is something which stand out to me most. And I like to interact with kids and document the things going around me through my pen. I started community library project in 2020 during the lockdown period, which was really a challenging time for us. We get to know that so many students are not able to get connected with the school learning because schools were closed that time. So it was very tough for them to get connected through online medium. So we decided to create such an initiative, start such an initiative which can bridge that gap. So we started that project in our village called Nagla. So now we have named our community library as KER Gadi, which means that something like game card. So we started that project that time, and we continued till 6 months. But then situations were getting normalized and schools were reopening, so we had to stop that project that time. So, but that gap was rather a comma than full stop. So we started that again. But during the period when we were having some gap, I continue to read books of different authors and try to understand what are the problems of our education which we want to solve. So I get to know that there are various problems that students do not get a chance to speak for themselves. So we recognize this as a major problem, and later on we continue to know that students are not very comfortable in classroom where there are a lot of concepts going on into their heads, and they feel really bored. So we try to make our community center really joyful and full of games and activities, so that they can get a space where they can learn in natural way. Because somewhere I read that our mentor also, Ashutosh sir, says that play or game is something which is very natural way of learning. So we focused on that and we are working towards that goal. We observed that in our community, particularly in Uttarakhand, rural Uttarakhand, students are not very much connected to their community because of the online mediums and phones and all those stuffs, and regular tuitions and schools. So they don't have time to interact with their community and the friends around their home. So we found that they are not able to interact. So we decided to create such a space where they can meet with their friends every day for at least for an hour, so that we can talk and share what's going on in their lives. And also the reading culture is really missing in our region, and no one is much aware of reading something out of the course. So we found it really ironical, because our course is really incomplete without the other things we do. Right, we read different books so that we can contextualize with our curriculum, but that was missing in our part. So we thought that we should take such initiative, and I started that project in my village with my brother, and we started in our home itself. And then after 2 months we shifted our community library to the primary school of our village, and then we got more attraction of tribal kids, because the school is in heart of the tribal community. So the Tharu kids were able to come there, and we were able to entertain them, and they were coming with a lot of excitement, and we tried to let them explore what they want to. Most of our classrooms are still in the traditional way. So it is more important for students to learn within their groups as well. So we try to give them space where they can learn with each other and celebrate the diversity they are living in. In the particular region where we live, Uttarakhand, a recent report indicates that Uttarakhand stands on the 35th position out of 37 in Education Performance Index, that our state is not able to deliver that education which is required in present day, like 21st century skills and all those things. Our education is still on the same path it was centuries ago. So we are trying to somehow change that also. We want to create a space where students can be a better citizen. So this how I'm trying to reimagine education, like how what should be the objective of education to build citizens or the labor force. First of all, we are working with kids because they are the ones who will be benefited with the education they are getting. I read about an American author, Peter Gray, who says that education should be decided by students themselves because they will be benefited with that. So they should decide how they want to get educated. Yeah, our mentors have really supported us in every possible way. They provide us with books and all those things we require, and they give us suggestions or feedback on our actions as well. So they are supporting us, and various NGOs and organizations are also supporting by providing us with books and at very reasonable prices. So that is very important for us because we don't have such a funding. Organizations like Guzarish and Navarone Publication, who are providing books at very low prices to us to support this campaign and the community library project going on in Nanak Mehta. First of all, mobilizing kids and parents was a basic challenge because, as I shared earlier, there is not much awareness about reading culture and all those things in our community. Another challenge is to get those kids with us, because if they will come one day and they will not enjoy the process, then they're not going to come from next day. So we have to plan that way that students are getting involved into the process. They want to watch a movie, so we have to show them because it is their demand and they want to learn that way. So we have to give them space. They are really reflective ones, and if I interact with them, they share how they work in their homes and how they are learning in their schools. So it is very reflective to listen to them. So they are solving our problems as well. And community visit is really important. We found that we visited our community 3 times, and firstly we visited for informing them so that they can send their children to our library, and we shared how our library is working, how we are working with the kids, so that they can know something like this project is going on around them. And then we celebrated Diwali in our community center. So we invited everyone in the village and asked them to come. The thing which inspired us that they were very they were very accepting of our views, and they were ready to listen us. So it gives us really more strength. We want to create new student leadership who will take over the leadership from me and other colleagues, so that they can carry forward this initiative in the community. And I have observed that my juniors are really very active in these things. And secondly, when we have started this project, my juniors somehow inspired me to do so. They came to me and asked that, Didi, we want to start this project again. And they are in grade 5th, 6th and 7th. So they all inspired me to again restart this project. So we did same thing in our village. And I believe that they will carry forward this leadership because they have learned from their seniors that this is something which adds up to our learning. So they will continue this project. And secondly, we want to create a community center. So we want to engage community with our project. Firstly, love, because the region we live in is full of diversity. On one hand, they live a Pahadi community, and on the other hand, Tharo community, who are the natives of Uttarakhand. So there is much community sense between both the communities, but yet there are differences and somehow antagonistic feelings as well. But we are trying to bridge those differences, and students from different backgrounds came to our library, and we sit together and celebrate festivals together and listen to their views as well. So we are trying to somehow create a space where they can share their learning and know that beauty of diversity. And secondly, I operate with value of gratitude. So I try to gratitude everyone in our community so that I was able to start this initiative. And I show gratitude towards my mentors and my peers who always inspired me, and especially kids who always empower me with the ideas to work with them. First of all, I learned that students are not kids who don't know anything. They know various things, because once I plucked a branch of a tree to just mop the floor where we used to sit in our library, and all the kids came to me and said that, Didi, you cut down a tree and you did very wrong. I learned that student voices aren't heard in the school system, and they have a lot to say. They do have so many stories. They come to me and share, Didi, we did this yesterday, and we are planning to do this right now. So they have a lot of stories to share, but there is no one to listen to them in their school. So this is one problem, and I learned this. The project grew more leadership in students. I can see in my school around 50 leaders were emerged from this project, and they initiated the project, similar project in their villages. And at the time of COVID, when the time was really challenging for every one of us, around 22 libraries were functional in our community, in our region of Nanakmata. So this was the major transformation I saw in the leaders, in the student leaders of our school as well. And also community members were also supporting us, and they were valuing our efforts, and they were recognizing that these kids are doing something, and kids were also participating actively. So these are some transformation I can see in the community. And around more than 500 students were benefited from that, from those libraries. And in some libraries, even students were sharing the science models, and we set up science fairs and math fairs in those libraries, where we invited community members. And it was very fascinating for us to observe that 3 generations were there. So it was really inspiring for us to observe that as well. So it was not an individual project, and it is community based project, and we collectively made this happen. So community was really supportive to us, and kids were really supportive, and they were very excited for all those things. The idea of community library came from TFIX site visit, where our school was part of TFIX cohort. Similar project was initiated in the hilly region of Uttarakhand, Pithoragarh, and Mahesh Punetha sir inspired us to start that project in our region too. So we started with this. The peer group is really powerful, and when we started the project, we were facing a lot of problems, and we used to sit together, all the community library leaders had meetings every week or every twice a month. So we used to share what challenges we are facing in our library, so that we can brainstorm together to get to the solution. Education is something which enables us to know ourselves better, and I remember a quote of Vivekanand, that education is the manifestation of perfection already in humans. So from education we try to understand ourselves and our skills. So that's how education means to me in my part of world, that education is being equalized with the mugging of concepts and all those things. But on the other hand, education is defined as something we learn very naturally, and knowing ourselves, knowing the community around us. And so these things always make me questioning myself, that what does education means. The education system in India is really inequitable, because there are many students who do not get access to quality education, because this inequity comes from the social inequity or economical inequity, right? Because the condition in our country, which is a really diverse one, as our country is really diverse, and with lots of diversities in terms of social diversity, cultural diversity. So these diversity have led to the inequity in our country, because we consider that religion or that caste is somehow less than our and in hierarchy. So this social difference has led to the educational difference as well. I read about conflict theorists. They talk about like education is something which propagates the social hierarchy in the system. So this how education system is working on in our country, which is full of competition, regimentation, and students are not getting equal opportunities, and which is resulting in so much unemployment. So many people are unemployed because they don't have skills which are required for such a career which needs skills particularly. So we are not able to produce good humans who are full of skills and somehow those sensitivity emotions, but we are creating labor force who are working towards uh, uh, propagating that system or order, social order. But I think there is a hope, and hope is in kids, because if we will work with them, so I observe that there is much potential in them and they will bring a change. Enable the kids to get that space where they can flourish and be their best selves.